All right. Let us get through this. Apologies, since this will be on. This is going to YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Live from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. We're at the EWC Player Lounge. So the video is going to be obviously a little bit scuffed, but I wanted to get this out as soon as possible. From what I've seen online, looks like a fucking crazy patch. I didn't think it could get much crazier after obviously the Evo and leveling and perks changing, but from the few snippets I've seen, it looks a little crazy. So obviously we'll get into it. I haven't looked at it yet. For some, I'm laying eyes on it. Won't watch the video. We got no time for that right now. That's not the detailed breakdown, man. That's a lie. That's the overview. I guess we could look at all the fun stuff real quick. Oh, we lounging? Yeah, we're doing something, man. Will the roller nerf have any impact on ALGS? I actually don't think so. Not from like a controller standpoint. I think a lot of the really good controller players that you see are actually like mechanically talented. They're not really being carried by their input. The rotational aspect of it is still there, so I think it'll be fine. Most of the top end roller players will be just fine. If anything, it is obviously a slight buff to MNK with the no aim flinch, stuff like that. So that'll be the maybe new MNK talent, or maybe people dig up some MNK talent that's been around, but maybe they haven't gotten their time to shine. I don't know, we'll see. I think it'll just feel a little bit more fair, at least at the top end. Okay. New Trios Revival. Stay in the game longer with Revival, a new twist on respawning without banners or respawn beacons. As long as one squad mate still stands, you'll automatically respawn. But it's never that easy. Your respawn time will increase with each death and each round. So this is basically like, this is kind of like COD Resurgence. That's pretty sick. I think like, look, Apex did a lot of really good things coming out of the gate and redefining the Battle Royale genre. But I think, like, we've outgrown a lot of the old systems. So I think them, like, experimenting with just, like, making the game more fun to play and less punishing, I think is just good for longevity. I mean, we've played this game a million times. It's not fun to die earlier. It's not, you know, there's a lot of things that were really cool when we first started playing the game that aren't nearly as cool anymore. New map looks sick. I mean, it looks as most of their maps, it looks aesthetically pleasing. I'm excited to try it. I haven't played it myself, so I have no idea what to expect with it. I've always thought a city map would be cool, so we'll see what that looks like, but not too much to talk about there. I have heard that the Akimbo weapons are actually pretty crazy. Akimbo's made it to Outlands dual wield 2 P2020s or 2 Mozambiques, and find interacts with a second P20 or Mozambique to automatically enter Akimbo mode. That's sick. I'm glad they didn't make it a hop-up, because that would not, one, dilute the loot pool, two, people would probably just ignore it. Like, even though there's a lot of really cool things that they've done to the guns in this game, most of them have been through hop-ups, and most people just don't fucking care after a certain point. Doing stuff like this that isn't just behind attachments, I think is a really cool idea. The one video I saw from it, it looked really strong, but obviously we'll just have to see how that works. In Akimbo, they will benefit from automatic firing and increased rate of fire. Attachments will be mirrored to the second weapon. No need to find 2 light magazines or bolts. That's huge. However, optics will be disabled. Magazine size while in Akimbo is double compared to the single version, but will incur longer reload times. Makes sense. When aiming, instead of looking down sights, you'll instead tighten their hipfire spread. Okay, yeah, I mean, obviously we don't know what it looks like given with the weapon changes that might be coming. We don't know what it's going to look like, if they're going to be actually viable or not, but it seems a lot more fun, and it's a good way to make these guns still useful, right? One of my biggest pain points in the game was always that the P20 and Mozambique are effectively useless past the early game. Obviously, they've tried different things to like make it not like that, and generally, I think their ideology has always been like a power curve. Like the game should play out within a power curve, meaning like you start out really weak, you start to get strong, you get stronger as you find more loot or as you kill people, etc. But I've always felt like that idea and philosophy is super flawed when you land on a P20 and a Mozambique, and the other player in the building next to you lands on like a PK or a Wingman, or in this current meta like a Hemlock and Havoc, right? Like it's just the whole power curve thing doesn't really make sense. So them buffing these guns to make them just stronger overall, I will always be in favor of, because I hate when there's just useless things on the ground. Update battle sense. It's always best to keep your wits about you in the heat of battle. With Shockwave, we're growing battle sense with 2 new features: temporary health bars and highlights that appear while you're damaging to an enemy, but keep your eyes on the elimination. Enemies will also be highlighted in red, make them easier to spot against the landscape around them. I actually want to look at a video of this. This is sick, by the way. Huge fan of this. My guess is they're doing it to combat the visual clutter, obviously, that we've been complaining about for quite a while. I think Moki Sniper. I think I saw really quickly a video on Twitter. Here, we can just watch this real quick, because I think this is the video, or at least a video going over it.
New enemy highlights are coming to Apex Legends. Thanks to EA for inviting me to the Season 22 preview event. Personally. 3 new systems are coming to Apex Legends that will help in seeing enemies and tracking them through visual clutter. The first is a red outline. This will appear on enemies within 30 meters that you have.
That's why I love Moki, man. He does the in-depth shit that I would want to do if I was there too. You know, shooting at the snow. If you're on MK, you can't see people. If there is any snow or dust kick up in your face, you can't see people. So you don't know where to shoot. Aim assist, you can still get aim assist through it.
Respawn said this is mostly to help new players a bit. The second one is a new
health bar. What about the existing players,
bar.
man? I think it's actually a really smart idea.
That health bar gets rendered on top.
Because at the end of the day, like, we're 5 years deep in this game, right? Getting, like, some people might be like, oh, skill gap, right? You don't have to think about the damage you do to them or calm the damage like you used to. But, like, at the end of the day, like, these games, Apex is actually a really fucking hard game. I think over time, making small things that are like trivial easier for newer players to pick up to lessen that learning curve for them is just an overall dub.
Of all visual clutter, like
I think
debris,
this just makes the game easier to read for
muzzle
most people.
flashes,
I
blurry vision from
really see a negative
abilities,
to
and
this.
everything else.
Other than maybe like another person being like on height behind them, maybe it can be like a tad weird. I guess it could block your view of somebody else like behind them, maybe. That could be a little bit annoying. I don't know how it works. We'll have to see.
To them. The third highlight is that all Recon legends, so Bloodhound, Crypto, Seer, and Vantage, now get threat vision when they are aiming down the sights. You get this on any scope, so even with iron sights. And while this doesn't appear on top of visual clutter, it still massively helps in keeping track of enemies and aiming at them. Threat vision distance is based on scope zoom level. On iron sights, it's 70 meters. On higher level zooms, it's much further. All of these visual aids do not appear behind cover. As soon as you lose line of sight to the enemy, they will also disappear. Here I'm shooting the ground a bit more so you can see how the health bar and red outline look through that debris. Also look how the health bar stays visible through the distortion by the sear cube.
Yeah, that is... Again, this is going to be a huge patch for MK. Not just because the aim's nerf, but mostly this, to be honest. Anyways, alright, so that's pretty sick. Huge fan of that. Shout out the MK Rise Up, baby. It only took 5 years. New welcome pass and challenges. We'll probably skip through this. Not too interested with that. That's not the type of stuff I'm here for. Whether you're a new player or a returning player just looking to get good, this new mode is the perfect arena to learn, practice, or perfect your playstyle outside of pubs and ranked. Play by yourself or with bot squad mates. This is actually really cool. I kind of like this idea about you can just load up a bot game. Because I think this could be useful. Like, obviously there's things, I like testing things in the firing range. However, sometimes, and I'm sure you've seen this if you've been around the game for a while, sometimes just things aren't consistent with the firing range and the actual game. It almost feels like you're playing two different versions. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But having like an actual like little sandbox where you can run around, not really a sandbox, but you know, just like your own little playground where you can run around and not have to worry about it, things, load up a bot game, is actually pretty cool. I'm definitely a big fan of that. I will definitely be using that to test certain things. All right, so that's all the fun stuff, like the big changes. Do we talk about the flinch? You think it'd be the MK buff? Yes, 100%. I mean, this whole patch is going to be a massive MK buff, right? You have aim flinch being removed. Like, we didn't get to that part in the patch notes, but obviously, like, that's going to be on fucking all over Twitter. So no aim flinch is huge for MK. And it just seems like a big, like, I would have loved to see a patch where obviously they tuned down visual clutter, but this is a fine alternative. I think this is going to be a huge patch. The game, if you're an MK player, rejoice, man. This is going to be, it feels like it'll be a lot more fun than what we've played pretty much for the last couple years. So, I didn't get to play test this version, so I don't know, but it seems like an overall net positive. I'm really excited about that. Might make me play the game more, because, to be honest, my arrows have been lacking a little bit. I'll definitely be giving this a whirl. Maybe not on stream as much, but we'll see. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. That's not bad timing, actually, from the boy. That's not bad timing. We got an hour and 15 minutes. New class break. Zone overcharge. Controller legends now have extra shield capacity when playing in zone. Zone automatically grants an overcharge of 25 HP shield capacity. This capacity is permanent while the player remains in zone. Overcharge is lost when leaving zone after 5-second delay. Overcharge can be healed with cells, batteries, and abilities while in zone. If a player enters the zone at full shields, the overcharge pip will fill automatically. If a player acquires a shield core that overcharges beyond this extra zone capacity, that additional overcharge will still drain normally, but the zone overcharge will remain. Zone overcharge will never enhance the legend armor beyond maximum red capacity. That's, wow, that is very interesting. A lot of thoughts on that one. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out which one I want to throw out first. I'm guessing this is purely a change to make this class of characters more exciting in the actual like normal game for pubs and ranked. Like, how many times are people really loading up? Like, how many times do you get, like, an actual, like, Watson on your team? Or I feel like Catalyst is a little bit more likely, but, you know, I feel like this is a way to make them a little bit more fun or more likely to be played. I'm curious. Okay, so I want to know a couple things I want to know first. So it says the capacity is permanent while the player remains in zone, and if the player enters the zone in full shields, yeah, it will automatically. Okay, so, like, if everybody drops in, right? As soon as zone 1's in, and you're already there, like you just start charging, like you already pretty much have blue armor. Like, that's pretty crazy. This actually, in competitive, this actually will be a very, Jesus Christ. I don't know if you can hear all that. This will be a really big buff to an existing playstyle already in comp, because I actually think zone playstyle right now is really, really rough. It's really hard to pull off because it's hard to like guarantee that you get like to the armors that you need to get to. Obviously, sometimes when you're playing characters like Watson, for example, is usually going to, this is comp specific that I'm talking about right now. Watson specifically is a character that's not going to leave her house or area that she's controlling. Generally, it's not the easiest to farm damage on a character like Watson. You obviously have a little bit of room for error because you have the shield regen, right? But Watson herself, that role is not leaving your spot to like get cheeky off angles and get extra damage where like normally a Bangalore would or something like that, right? Or a Fuse Q or something like that. So generally, the console class has like a little bit of a rougher time getting their shields up, so this will be pretty interesting that they will be all of a sudden they're the tankiest, assuming you're in zone, obviously. They're going to be the tankiest character on your team. Getting to purple already in a zone's playstyle and comp is really hard if you're like in zone right away from the get-go. But when you do happen to get to purple, all of a sudden you're like Watson is on red armor. It's pretty fucking crazy. I don't really have thoughts on whether or not I like it. I think it's a very interesting change, and I'm definitely curious to see how it plays out. I think like I said, it'll make this whole entire class a little bit more fun for everybody in a normal game. So I think that's fine. Anything that makes the game more fun for people, so the game doesn't die. But very interesting. Again, like I said, it's not like this class is weak at all in comp. It's one of the strongest ones. We value it very highly, but we'll see. New quality of life, remote pickup. Controller legends can now remotely pick up their undamaged tacticals by looking back at them and pressing a button. Additionally, if the player abandons the area, they will be prompted to recover all possible objects. That's actually kind of nice before I read the dev note, because like a lot of times, like obviously like if you're playing Rampart and you have like a bunch of walls up, or if you're playing, or Watson's probably the most specific one that's really annoying. Like you're not going to run around and pick up all your nodes if you want like some of your cooldown back, or if you want to start putting up like setting up a new area. So this will be a nice little change. Controller legends are at their best when playing for zone position. This season we're rewarding that behavior in legends who don't want to skim the edges of battle hunting for Evo, and instead allow them to maintain an equal footing on their armor when playing to their strengths. Gaining knowledge of the next ring and keeping a good position will be important to maintaining this advantage. Interesting line of thought. I definitely like I don't mean this like in a mean way, but like a lot of like lower like tier players are very risk averse when it comes to playing BRs. They don't like to fight. They like to let the entire lobby play out around them, the ones that aren't like the players that aren't very confident. So I think this will make the game feel a lot more fair for them, because I did, like I said right before I started all this, that playing zone is actually really weak. I think personally it's really fucking hard to get to the perks and the armor that you need to, especially in comp, when by the time you get to purple, if you even do, everyone's going to be running around with reds around you. So I do think that like Evo mismatch in like playstyles, it shouldn't be equal by any means, right? Because the teams on edge are running around doing shit, so they're naturally going to get more. But I do think that the Evo mismatch between zone and edge was like maybe a little too crazy. It's really hard. So I think this is a good little alternative. We'll see. Might be a little bit on the strong side, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, Recon class. New class perk, Threat Vision. Recon Legends now gain Threat Vision when aiming down sights, as we just saw in Moki's video. Threat Vision will highlight... I think I'm missing out on a crazy... Could you guys hear all that? All the yelling? I don't know how much this mic is actually picking up, but I think they're doing some crazy 1v1s over there. Are they 1v1ing over there?
No, they're playing chained together.
They're playing chained together.
Yeah.
That's actually demonic. Hello guys, it's fun and knock.
Hey.
They came back from, I don't know, some adventure they had. Manti, thank you for the 11 months, by the way. You were so fucking sus off stream, bro, I swear. People don't know the real you. Yo, can one of you be a peach and give me a water?
Are you happy on, wait, he's happy on stream, or off stream?
I'm so happy on stream. Or off stream, dude, what are you talking about? I don't know, anyways. Recon class, new class perk. Okay. Recon Legend now gain Threat Vision. Threat Vision will highlight enemies that the character is line of sight of to whenever using ADS. This ability will not work through walls or smoke, and it's in limited range by the type of scope. Blah, 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 blah. I think it's pretty good. That's a cool change. Not going to be, like, I don't think terribly, like, crazy, but it'll help the MK players Kovacs their game a little bit more. Again, I don't think this is, like, any kind of, like, game-breaking change by any means. It's obviously, like, a buff, but it's not, like, anything crazy. So I think this will just help people aim better, I feel like, more than anything, because it's easier to aim at, like, a red model than, you know, sometimes like having some crazy skins and stuff. Please tell Knock I love him. If he actually brings me the water, I'll consider it. I don't know if he actually will bring the water. I can't believe they're playing chain together on LAN Player Lounge PCs. That's actually fucking hilarious. I respect it. Oh, thanks, man. Yep. Could have been a little colder, I guess. You could have reached for the ones in the back, but all good. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, man. Dude. I'm just saying he could have reached for the ones in the back, you know? All right. Survey beacons. Faster to use. 3 seconds was 7.5 seconds. That's insane. Shortened range of 500 meters while scanning the entire map. I'm trying to like, 500 meters is not a lot, actually. Where's fun? 500 meters is not a lot.
I mean, it'll scan the POI and then some.
Yeah, it'll be like a POI and a half, maybe.
I think the range is honestly good because of the pulsing. Like someone will be like, oh, I hit beacon, but then
yeah.
walk into a pulse. And
I feel like it's kind of a nerf, at least for comp. Jesus Christ, I don't even want to get to the crypto changes, bro. Yeah, that's my goat right there, man. He actually went back and got me a colder one. Okay, anyways, yeah, more options. I did see someone say that the health bar is a toggle, which is actually pretty nice, because honestly, I'm not sure I would want to use it. I got to play with it first, but regardless. No longer randomly distributed, now all be turned on with every map. I like that change, actually. I think that's pretty solid, if they're changing it the way they are. Scanning now grants 75 Evo was 200. That's interesting. Now pulses 3 times over 15 seconds, with each pulse taking a snapshot of enemies in range for 5 seconds. Now release a large in-world scan wave that players can spot to identify an activated beacon. Enemies no longer receive a scan message. Releases a large in-world scan wave, so you just see like a pulse coming from the beacon. Enemy scan will display along the edges of the minimap, even if not in. Wait, what? Enemy scan will display along the edges of the minimap, even if not in? Anyways, yeah, for comp, I think this is kind of a nerf, like pretty big. I think this will make the game way more fun for like pubs and ranked. Man scans are the ones that are supposed to be like you find your next. For the people that want to fight, you can use them 2 ways. What?
I want to fight.
You can use them 2 ways, right? You can use them to fight,
Yeah.
or you can use them to rotate.
Yeah.
Now it's just pretty much a fight, I think. Yeah, so this is definitely a nerf for comp. Huge nerf for comp. Let's read the note real quick. Why not? I like hearing the thought process. Recon Legends are defined as legends who are about enemy intel and tracking, which is a core part of each character's play pattern. But to date, the only class benefit was something players had to seek out via survey beacons. We're ratcheting up the scouting role for Recon Legends this season and putting class power directly into their hands. With ADS threat vision, these characters now add up to spawning distance targets for their teams and not only do something they know their class can. The change to the survey beacons should allow players to make them a more tactical part of their play rather than just a strategic element. The full map scan was really only useful to a small number of high-level players, and often the scan messaging would turn your team into a magnet for others to hunt. Now being more frequent, faster to use, and giving more intel for longer POIs to make you use beacon with confidence and hunt in the immediate area or note secure paths out of a POI for rotation. Okay, so pretty much in line with what I thought. The only thing I'm kind of like not sure about is this one. The shortened range of about 500 meters. And now obviously like I'm looking at things through the lens of like a player that has played FPS my whole life. I understand how to find I know how to find fights in Apex and where teams are in the vicinity of me. But I'm a little worried that like most of the times you'll know if there's a team within 500 meters. At least if you're getting into a position where you can hit a beacon. But I don't know, we'll see. We'll see how it actually plays out. Alright, care package. Evade returns to the floor. Blast pattern size slightly increased. Damage increased to 7 was 6. Fire rate decreased. Oh, right. Yeah, I think they actually did that going into it, but I don't remember. It's been a little bit, honestly. Now takes boosted load or hop up. 4 shots remaining activation. Quick reload overflows mag by 2. Slight increase to recoil. Not bad, actually. I'm kind of an EVA 8 enjoyer. I thought it was fine when it was on the ground. Wasn't, like, broken. I don't think it was that bad. Obviously, it's not going to be an AA12 like it was going, like this current version is, but I think it's fine. Boosted loader is a good hop up to put on it. R99 enters the care package. ADS straight speed increased. Okay. Improved recoil. New feature, damage fall off. Ooh. I don't know if I like that, to be honest. I was kind of hoping this would never come to the game, but we'll see. Damage increased to 14 at close range. Damage falls off to 10 at 11 plus meters. I don't really like that. Not a fan of damage fall off. I guess it doesn't matter as much now, but it's just like the game already has so many different ways to take damage and do damage. There's the limb damage. There's like obviously like there's like the shield icons and stuff like that. It's just I feel like it just clutters things and it's just going to feel weird, I think. I'm not a fan of damage fallout, but we'll see how it works. No movement penalty when equipped is crazy, actually. That is huge. That's literally Maggie, but for SMGs on everybody. That alone might make the weapon like insanely usable. Because there's a little bit like obviously going unarmed to like taking the weapon out. There's a little bit of that like to be ready to shoot your gun in a fucking instant is pretty important, especially with an SMG. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be strong. I mean, damage at 14 close range is insane. I understand why the damage falls off at 10. Like, they don't want it to be used as mid-range because, you know, there are a lot of controller players that will fire the R9 at mid-range and they'll do it pretty damn well. So, like, I get it. I don't think the damage fall-off part of it is going to stop people from doing that, though. I think, at least not for the first little bit because it's a very – damage fall-off doesn't exist in the game outside of old charge rifle or I guess even current charge rifle. Well, there's no fall-off. It's actually fall-in. fall on. You get more, whatever it would be called. But anyways, you know what I mean. I don't know. I think for the first little bit, people will ignore this, and then they'll realize it's probably not very good to do. But I think the numbers can already be so arbitrary sometimes that I don't like it. Evo cache spawn rate in the first wave increased to 100% was 50%. If I'm reading this right, it means the first care package will always have an Evo cache on it, which is actually really nice. That's a good change. I like that, actually, because the first care package is ass. It's all right. But generally, when you're, like, rotating, the gold guns are weird. I'm fine. I'm happy that the first care pack isn't a power weapon, because that snowballs some teams a little too much, even in the normal game and in comp. But it being, like, gold is kind of just, like, who cares? Because by the time you're, like, leaving your POI and rotating is generally when the first care pack will fall, first 2 care packs. It's like you already have your loadout. Why would you? Most of the time, people don't go for the gold guns because it's just like I already have my loadout. I don't care to swap to a gun completely, right? So the first care packs felt borderline useless if you didn't get one of these. So them being the first wave having it 100%, I think is a good change. All right, the big one, the big meat and potatoes, aim assist. Console crossplays into PC lobbies, aim assist strength reduced 18%. So if you're a PC player playing with console and then you put them in our lobbies, their aim gets weaker. You can't rely on them to carry you. Unfortunate. Console performance mode crossplay into PC lobbies, aim assist strength reduced to 22. Controller on PC, aim assist strength reduced by 25%. I'm actually, like, I'm not even kidding. When I first heard about this, you're probably not going to believe me, but I thought to myself, this feels like a horrible change. And not because, more so the timing than anything. Because let's be real, if you paid attention to Apex at all in the past month or so, I don't think it's a stranger to anyone that the game has had like a lot of negative press, right? With the whole battle pass thing, hackers, cheaters, which is always kind of like a thing, but I feel like the game's gotten a lot of negative press. And I think this, I was worried that this is going to do a lot of damage to the game even more. Because obviously people aren't going to be happy about this. Like your average Joe's going to be like, the pros won again. They're changing the fucking game for all of us. You know, it's just like, there's a lot I want to say about aim assist that I can't. All I'm going to say is this was 100% needed. And it's not because I'm an MNK turbo virgin, right? I'm just saying. I can't say much, but I promise you, from what I know, this was needed. That's all I'll say. And like I said, I will not break that trust. All I'll say is, source dude, just trust me. The shit needed a nerf. Let's just put it that way. We value our accessibility as a cross-platform game, but it's equally important for us to monitor that ecosystem. Experiential stories from all types of players tracks with the data we're seeing when it comes to encountering win rate between different peripherals. Again, I can't say much, but all I'm saying is this is a very operative sentence here. Aim assist will never be removed as it's a critical accessibility feature. Agreed. Console lobbies remain unaffected. This only impacts players on controllers and PC lobbies. For our most competitive ecosystem, this change doesn't solve the intricacies of all aim assist hot topics, but it should help level the playing ground. Aim flinch as well is gone. Thank for the fucking Lord. I understand why aim flinch exists in a lot of games. Apex is not a game that needs it. Aim flinch is like a loose way to balance games like COD, where the time to kill is very low. I should say it's a way that it was there to balance so the person who just got the first shot didn't just win right away, right? You had a chance if they fired back, etc. Doesn't matter anymore because COD is literally fucking like aimbot simulator if you play the game. Like this shit does not matter anymore. It's an old mechanic that had its purpose. It doesn't really fit in Apex, I think. So obviously, I mean, this is probably, for me at least, this is the biggest dub of the patch. Such a good fucking change. I'm so excited for this one. Don't have to obviously touch on that too much. That's a great change overall. I still think aim assist will be strong. It's not dead by any means. The rotational aspect is still there, which is what makes it really strong. The inhuman-like reactions of when someone's strafing at you is still there, and so it'll still be strong. But it's still a very good change though. Starting with Shockwave, all loot bins will close and reroll their loot with a significantly increased chance at higher tier and rare loot at the midway point of the match. Bins that have been re-rolled will appear slightly different than ones that have never been opened. After the reset, multiple bins will convert into legendary loot bins that provide smart loot, guaranteeing that the contents will be relevant upgrades for a squad. Okay, that's crazy. Wait a minute, I did not see this. Holy shit. That's fucking crazy. Because immediately my mind is jumping to comp where maybe Edge is not dead. Because that is actually insane. I mean, obviously would love to see what that entails and what it means, what exactly loot you're getting. But anytime you get higher tier or rarer loot, it's generally going to be like stuff like batteries, you know, like purple bags, stuff like that, Mobies, evac towers, all that good stuff. Yeah, does it say on here when it re-rolls? Is it like a different time, or is it always a set time? I do have a couple questions about how it works. Because like that's something you could play for, right? Like kind of rotating a little bit late. You get to an area that's like really heavy with bins that have all been opened, and it's like 30 seconds until the bins re-roll. Might just not be a bad idea to just sit there and if the time is a set static time every single time. But again, we'll have to see a little bit more how that works. I think it's just a good change as well. I will never say no to more and better loot, especially like further on down the game. Mythic bin. One mythic bin will spawn into the match with one random care package weapon. Wait, what? Gold version weapons are those that the squad is running at the time of opening the bin. Medical supplies and grenades. Large XP bonus to the squad. Mythic bins are locked and require players to hold and interact on them for a significant amount of time to crack them open for their team. Splayed on the map and mini-map. All right, that's fucking crazy, actually. Wait a minute. I got some questions. Because there's different types of, like, bins in the game, right? They're, like... I don't know if this like system is changing, but for example, docks, right? There are very few of them, but there are already like really, really super high tier bins in the game. Like if you look at this loot zone's quality, like this one, for example, in docks, is if you look down here, ultra quality. It's like it's extremely rare. So I'm curious if like the mythic bin is just going to take the place of some of these like set bins that are in the game, because some bins in the game are like a little bit different. It's not clear like that in the game, but there are some bins that are like just static, like these bins are just better than others. And they've been on and off whether or not they do that depending on the patch. Sometimes they change it, sometimes they don't. So I'm curious if it'll be like any bin could be the one. I think that'll be I would prefer that. I'm hoping it's not like a pool of like 6 different bins and then maybe just those 6 change. I'm hoping it's going to be... I hope it's any random ass bin in the game. Loot pool. Reduce the spawn rate of purple and gold attachments by about 50%. Access to higher tier attachments in the early game has started to feel too common, which results in squashing the power progression over the course of a match. There's that power progression we were talking about. By reducing the amount of high tier loot in the early game, players will be fighting on more even terms. To compensate for this reduction, loot bin reset improves the overall quality of loot in the world, which should provide a much smoother transition to end game power. I think that's fair, especially if like they're doing like the reset. I think that's definitely fair. Reorganization. I mean, this is a good change. Controller players will actually be able to hit an armor swap. This is huge. Okay, I didn't know this was a thing. Maintaining at the same time the same slot as a teammate no longer forces both players to drop. Massive change. I haven't seen a change I hate yet, to be honest. Just kind of cool. Better ammo awareness and feedback. Critical ammo state will now kick in when a player has 0 relevant ammo in their inventory. On-screen limit. Okay, this is whatever. This is just more for newer players to understand. That's fine. I'm always in favor of accessibility options, or rather, just changes to the game to make the game much easier for newer players. Because you got to have a constant stream of new players. I can tell you, I've tried to get so many IRL friends to play Apex, and it's just too much for them. Enemy health bars. Already saw all that. We saw the video on that. We don't have to talk about it too much. Big fan. Okay, so both enemy health bars and enemy highlights can be toggled on or off in settings. I might try running no health bar. I feel like that, depending on the visual clarity of like the fight, I feel like the enemy health bar could get in the way in some really annoying parts. The highlights, the highlights stay on. The highlights stay on in bed. That's all I'm saying. Ammo and attachments. Ammo spawn rates. Energy ammo reduced to individual spawn rate. Light and heavy ammo slight increase to individual spawn rate. Shotgun and sniper slight individual increase to spawn rate. Okay. Ammo stack changes. I think I saw this. Very interesting. Light ammo stack size increases to 72 was 60. Individual brick size to 24 was 20. Energy size decreases 54 was 60. Individual brick was 18 to 18 was 20. Interesting way to balance it. Curious how it works with what the numbers are with assault classes. Pretty solid change. The more I think about it, I actually really like that change. Like I said, light guns are really spammable, right? You have like an R3, which I heard is going to be good. Scout. Granted, you don't need a lot of ammo for Scout, but like R9, R3, Spitfire, all those guns just chew through ammo. So not super opposed to that, actually. Energy guns hit really hard. You don't need as much ammo. Hop-ups. Disruptor rounds removed from floor loot. New hop-up gun shield generator. I have seen this, and I've been thinking about it a lot. Usable by all LMGs, Spitfire, Rampage, All-Star, Devotion. When aiming down sights, automatically deploys the frontal gun shield. Gun shield absorbs 40 damage. Gun shield is recharged 12 seconds after taking damage or breaking. Improves Jibby's gun shield. Health increases 75. Gun shield recharge time remains the same as his passive. Yeah, that's a crazy hop-up. That's all I'm going to say. I'm assuming all the timers and stuff work the same. Like, the time for it to, like, come out and all that works probably pretty same as Jibby. So I like that they're trying to make LMGs a lot more stronger and more viable, because LMGs are honestly like pretty strong. They're just obviously not as viable. They're just slower and a little clunkier to use. This is a dangerous change. It's a cool hop up. I'm just a little worried the game's gonna get very stat checky, especially if everyone decides and realizes the L-Star is very good, and then all of a sudden we're just like, But I guess it's a good idea. I guess it's a good thing that we have the health bars now, because damage is a little bit crazy all over the board. We'll see. We'll see how it plays. At the end of the day, LMGs are still LMGs, and they can be really. They make you a really easy target to when you're shooting because of how slow you are. Because it is only when you ADS, and ADS, I believe LMGs have the slowest ADS speed. If you have if you crack somebody and they don't do that much damage to you, you can just sit there and fucking kill them. But it does make you a really big target, more than most people think. Okay, weapons. Akimbo, dual P2020s. Yes, already read about all that. We touched on that. All LMGs now benefit from the reverse hipfire mechanic found on the care package Devo. I heard about this as well. Yeah, those, either the hop-up change or this change, individually, very strong. Both of them together, little nerve-wracking. It might actually just be an LMG meta, which we haven't seen in quite some time. Basically, if the way the Devo shoots now, where the more you shoot it, the more you hold down the trigger, the tighter the hipfire spread gets, right? So now all LMGs are going to have it. It's going to be something. So now you can just and mind you, hipfire, there's no slowdown. I was just talking about how you're a huge target when you ADS LMGs because of how slow the straight speed is. There ain't no slowdown when you're hipfiring any guns in this game, right? So you're going to be literally beaming people while moving at the same speed as everybody else. Yeah, this one I'm not so sure about. I'm not going to lie. This is the one. This is definitely the first thing where I'm like, this one might be a little bit too much. Anyways, car. Magazine size, wait, hold on. Alternator, mag size changes. Base, unchanged. White, 23 was 22. Blue, 26 was 25. Purple, I'm surprised they're actually buffing alternator mag size. Because that gun actually does a lot of fucking damage by the numbers. Car, definitely needed it. White, 22 was 21. 24 was 23 for blue. Purple and gold, 27 was 26. Car definitely kind of needed a little bit. I think car has a lot of utility, but let's be real, it's you're just never picking that thing up. Devotion, empty reload speed decreased, gun shield generator added. Oh, so Devo's still in the care pack. Flatline, mag size change. This actually, I love the flatline, but this is definitely needed. It's not like a broken-ass gun, but it didn't make sense. I did see the R3 also got changed. The R3 and flatline mags never made sense to me, so I'm not opposed to this change at all. I love the flatline to death, but it definitely didn't make sense. Havoc hipfire accuracy significantly reduced. I think this nerf will actually hit harder than most people think. The gun is still obviously very fucking good. Reverse hipfire improved. Shots needed for max hipfire. Okay, yeah, that's reduced to 14 was 21. Okay, I did miss that. You're right. I mean, what is there to say other than holy shit, that's insane. Devo's going to be even more of a problem than it already is. Okay, I actually think this will be a much bigger nerf to the Havoc than most people think. A lot of people in this current meta are using the Havoc as just a secondary hipfire gun, right? If you look at comp, it's Hemlock Havoc, right? Hemlock is your long range, Havoc is your short range. SMGs have been basically useless ever since people started picking up the Havoc. So this actually, I think it will hit the Havoc a lot harder than most people think. It'll still be a really strong gun as a primary, right? If in mid-range, you'll still be blazing the fuck out of people, but you just won't be able to sit there and dump an entire mag and still kill 2 people. This might single-handedly put SMGs back in the mix, or just pave the way for LMG L-Star, I guess. I don't know. It might actually just pave the way for just L-Star spam, but we'll see. Hemlock burst delay slightly increased. Damage reduced to 19 was 20. Mag size reduction. Only to white and blue. Okay. Decent nerf, honestly. Might still be good enough. Might still be really good. It might just be Hemlock L-Star meta. P20 single damage increased to 21 was 18. Hammer point damage decreased to 23 was 20. I'm surprised it did that. 23 was 27. Mag size changes. I'm a fan of P20 and Mozam just getting better. Like I said, like I've been saying, I just hate useless weapons. I think it's really fucking dumb. Not opposed to these to useless guns on the ground just getting a little bit more love, things being a little bit more useful. Would love to touch on it more, but we got to keep going. Mastiff damage increased to 15 was 11. Pellet count reduced to 6 was 8. Someone quick do the numbers. Is that a buff or a nerf? More consistent? 88 to 90?
Cody.
Guys, please, I'm trying to finish this.
Hi, Cody.
Guys, please, I am trying to finish this. I'm halfway through and I have 10 minutes, pretty much. Stop distracting me. Yeah, but it's more consistent now. It's gonna be a lot more consistent. Or actually, is it? Because it seems like the far pellets are still the same. Peacekeeper damage increased per pellet to 11 was 9. Pellet count reduced to 9 was 11. Last pattern shape changed. I'm honestly kind of glad. I kind of hated this pattern. I'm not sure I like this one nearly as much either, but I think it'll be definitely more consistent because these outer 4 pellets, you have to really be point blank. R301 max size change. Much needed. Why do I need to go? Literally in 20 minutes our shuttle leaves for the airport so I can go home. R301 max size changes. Like I said, much needed. RE45 max size changes as well. Again, always a fan of the lower guns just getting a little bit of love. Rampage increased projectile size while revved up. This shit is already low-key broken, man. I'm not a fan of projectile size increases most of the time. In the past, it's made guns feel really fucking bullshit. I love the Rampage, though. I think it's a fun gun to use. I'm not sure that's the change it particularly needed. Legends. Jesus Christ, I only just got to Legends, bro. Well, this might have to be a two-parter, man. Because, like, there's so much to talk about when it comes to Legend changes. I mean, for now, I could just do it, and then I'll have Rain just do everything but the Legends, and then we'll throw out, like, just 2 separate videos. As much as I don't want to do that, we're working with some time constraints right now. So